This is MuggleCast, the Harry Potter podcast discussing everything about J.K. Rowling's wizarding world. This week's episode is brought to you by Puffs. Some people are born to save the world from an evil wizard, and some people sit next to those people at magic school. Puffs, the off-Broadway play, is their story, which Mashable called, quite simply, hysterical. Now playing at the Electra Theater in New York. Tickets and more at puffstheplay.com. Save 10% on your ticket order by using code MugglePuffs. And by canvaspeople.com. Bring one of your favorite photos to life on a beautiful 11 by 14 canvas for free. Just pay shipping. Visit canvaspeople.com and use code MUGGLE at checkout. And by Harry's. Eric, Micah, and I love using Harry's to shave, and we think you will too. They're so confident you'll love their blades, they're giving you their trial set for free. Just cover $3 in shipping. Visit harrys.com/MuggleCast right now to get the set. Welcome to MuggleCast episode 317. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Micah.
Happy birthday, Eric. We're recording on your birthday.
Hey.
Woo!
Thanks, guys.
You're working.
What are you doing to celebrate today?
Well, working on my birthday, I'm going to C2E2, actually, later today, which is a convention that's been going on this weekend in Chicago. And right now, I'm just drinking 7-Up out of a golden chalice. So...
that's fancy of you for your birthday.
Well, I partied a little hard last night, so 7-Up it is. But the golden chalice I just got the other week, celebrating somebody else's birthday at Medieval Times.
Is 7-Up a hangover cure? This is news to me.
I think ginger ale in general, and like a lemon lime sort of flavored drink. It's actually supposed to be ginger ale, but I had 7-Up, so that's what I'm drinking.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's great. There's nothing I'd rather be doing on my birthday than podcasting with you guys.
Aw, that's sweet. I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Since it is your birthday, just like a fun mini game here. If you could ask J.K. Rowling one thing, and she would answer it guaranteed for your birthday, and she promised you she'd answer it,
God.
what would the question be?
Put me on the spot here. I saw this was in the doc, but then immediately forgot about it, so I haven't prepped an
I was
answer.
going to say, it's not like it hasn't been sitting here for a few days for you to kind of think through.
I forgot it was in there. Oh, my God, guys. I
definitely wrote it like 4 days ago.
Oh,
Well,
man.
and Eric, what you don't know is that as soon as your answer is given, we are going to tweet from the MuggleCast account
Oh, my
to
God.
J.K. Rowling saying, it is Eric's birthday. Please answer the following question.
You guys, this is the nicest birthday gift anyone's ever gotten me.
Wow, and it's free.
I need time. I know it costs nothing.
Is it really better than the golden chalice you're drinking 7-Up out of?
Well, I bought that. It was like $22 at Medieval Times. But I need more time to think about it.
All right, by the end of the episode.
Yeah, by the end of I'm not going to like string this out for weeks.
I've got the tweet ready.
Oh, man. Thank you.
J.K. Rowling, it's Spielerman's birthday. Please answer the following question. Currently blank.
I love it. Currently blank. Oh, wait. So how many characters are left? Because that's
60. 60.
We're
Okay,
going to make it
60.
work, Eric. So whatever you come up with, we're going to ask.
All right.
Make it count because she's definitely going to answer.
This is really special, you guys. I'm going to think about it.
Okay. Eric is so excited. He's just going to be let down because J.K. Rowling is not going to answer. But we'll try.
She'll answer.
You never know.
People as a birthday gift to me, I'm requesting everyone retweet our tweet.
Yeah, I think
once
that's
it's
a good idea.
tweeted. And thank you all.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time to get to work on Eric's birthday. So we were going to do a character discussion. We were going to kick off a series of Fantastic Beasts character discussions. But then some news happened, and we thought, well, we haven't discussed this on the main show yet. We did a bonus MuggleCast a while ago when we first found this news about Theseus Scamander.
Theseus Scamander, the war hero?
Right. He is... we found out this week that he has been cast for Fantastic Beasts 2. He's going to be played by Callum Turner, a guy I'd never heard of before. But, when you look at him, you realize he actually looks very similar to Eddie Redmayne. So they got that part down. And I don't know if you guys know this, but he's actually in The Holiday. So, Micah, there's another reason to watch The Holiday.
Oh, my God.
They're just plucking people from this movie, right? Is that
from The Holiday?
Yeah.
From this movie Micah still hasn't seen. Yeah, great job in
The Holiday is one of the best movies that was ever put on film.
It really is. Welcome back to Holiday Cast. We're here to talk about, he also starred alongside Dan Radcliffe in, I don't want to say starred alongside, I actually don't know what his role was, but I think he was in Victor Frankenstein as well.
That's true.
And I've actually seen this guy in Green Room, which is a terrifying indie film. Awfully
at first you said
scary.
You saw him in a random green room that you just happened to go into.
I am often going into green. I'm in a green room right now. Actually, I painted my bedroom walls green. But anyway, he's in that movie, Green Room, as well with the late Anton Yelchin and Sir Patrick Stewart. So
did you find him to be a good actor?
It's a terrifying movie, and I think that yes, I think that the casting choice was correct for his role, and I think that it's I won't say more without spoiling, but. Yeah, it's that's just an all-around intense film. So I think it showcases the chops of everyone who's cast in it. So I liked him, but I want to see more of this guy, especially knowing that he'll be in Fantastic Beasts. We have some time before that movie comes out. So, I want to catch up on all of his stuff and more of Jude Law's, to be honest.
He, so like I said, he does look like Eddie Redmayne. I think the facial features, that jawline, they just kind of look similar. The thing is, though, he's playing Newt's older brother, but he's actually 8 years younger than Eddie. So,
yeah, I wondered that.
I think it'll be fine. I'm not concerned about it. It's not very hard to make people look a little older. I don't think it's necessarily important that he's actually older than Eddie, because Eddie also looks pretty young. You wouldn't guess that he's, what is he, 35?
Yeah, something like
that. He
that.
looks younger to me.
Yeah,
he's 35.
It's true. Yeah, that was the first thing that I did notice, though, is that Callum looks younger. In general, but they'll put some mud on his face, to make, because he's a war hero. He's been battling, and he
hasn't showered since the war.
So I think they'll do it right. But we're just getting casting news like lightning, like one thing after the other now for Fantastic Beasts 2.
Yeah, it seems like they're really rocking and rolling with casting now, doesn't it? So. I mean, we know production's supposed to begin in the summer, so that would explain why we're closing in here on these casting announcements. I think other than... See, now that and we're going to talk more in depth on Theseus in a moment, but are there any other characters we're expecting in Fantastic Beasts 2 other than young Dumbledore and Theseus? Because after these two...
Olita. But she's already been cast.
Well, she's already been cast. Yeah, I'm talking because I wonder if we're going to get some new revelations by way of casting news.
Right. It might be that they are only going to announce for a long time the characters that we've already heard of. This is the 1-2 punch of there's that. But, if future like that, I don't think they're poised yet to introduce more of the characters, because that would indicate more of the story. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But we do know that they're going to Paris, so would think that there will be several characters there that will play an important role that maybe we haven't met yet. Maybe we have. We've talked
honestly
a little bit about Madame Maxime is one character that could pop up.
Yeah.
But what are they going to do with her?
Well, in general, it'd just be interesting to see French wizards, like actual French wizards and witches.
Yeah.
And how they interact and because that's the other thing, is I'm sure he'll be interacting with the embassy of in France while he's there, or interacting with different agencies at the very least of other adults, because he'll be in Paris for either a Beasts mission or a Grindelwald mission, or both.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny how Pottermore announced this, and I threw more shade at them in my Hypeable article because as one of our listeners, Patrick, pointed out, so the top of this article says on Pottermore, the Fantastic Beasts sequel rumor mill has started in earnest, with one London-born actor in the frame to play Newt's older brother. Pottermore, you're Pottermore. You just confirmed this, so it's not a rumor that he's playing he's playing Newt's older brother, and that he was cast. Like, what?
Pottermore has positioned itself to be the single source of most direct information for not only J.K. Rowling's books, but her films as well. I mean, the entire wizarding world hinges on this conduit for, from them to us, the public. And Pottermore does this. The title of the article is Newt Scamander's older brother to appear in Fantastic Beasts sequel. And then when you read the body of the text, same thing. It looks like Theseus Scamander will make an appearance. Casting is currently underway.
You don't say.
Yeah, casting is currently underway with actor Callum Turner reportedly in talks to play the character. Well, hang on. So that's what it actually reports, is that he's in talks. But they've confirmed that he's cast. So what does that mean? Could he say no? Could he just be like,
so bizarre. What is Pottermore trying to be? Like, this reads like an article on MuggleNet. Is currently, like, he's in talks.
Right, because we can't confirm anything.
That'd be like the official Star Wars website being like, guess what, guys? Somebody's in talks to star in our next movie.
Guess what? Somebody whose name is this and who was in this, and this, and this, and this, and this in the past might be your new Newt's brother.
And he's not in talks. It has to be a done deal, because what is Pottermore going to do? Like,
take it back.
Pottermore,
they're going to publish a retraction.
Yeah, never mind, guys. The official website of J.K. Rowling is no longer reporting this. I feel like they're trying to be a fan site, but they just can't, because they're
fans.
Pottermore. They're corporate owned.
Yeah.
Well, Pottermore were first in terms of releasing the casting about Dumbledore, right? I know you said another news outlet kind of.
No,
they weren't.
No, it was Variety, but I think
they probably
Pottermore
gave it
knew
to run with it first.
I don't think so.
They probably gave it to the press first and let Variety run with it, and then they sort of confirmed it by posting it up on their website. I've said it on past episodes. I think they're trying to become the clearinghouse for everything related to Potter. They've become as much a news site for Cursed Child, Fantastic Beasts, other Potter-related projects, as they have for sort of the encyclopedia type of information we've always wanted. So they're definitely pivoting in terms of the resource that they are.
They're holding all the cards, but they pretend that they don't, which is really stupid.
Yeah, it just seems a little bizarre to me. Like, just officially announce it. Don't be like, oh, it's a rumor. Oh, he's in talks.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Will it happen? Will it won't? Stay tuned to Pottermore.
Maybe that's how they were going to originally position it in the article, and then they just forgot to change it when they published it. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, didn't they see my tweet where I called them out?
I'm sure
maybe
they
should look at my tweet.
Wait, I missed this. I usually catch all of your shady tweets about and I love them to death when they go, I missed this one. What did you say?
I tweeted corporate Potter website trademark is acting like we don't know anything about Theseus, but we do thanks to a leaked prop.
Okay.
Oh, and then I said, so weird how Pottermore is announcing a new cast member but calling it a rumor. Anyway,
don't mess with you. That's what it comes down to.
I will say something positive now about Pottermore. As I said previously, I think they have found their stride. They've hit their stride with making official announcements, because there's so many spokes in the Harry Potter wheel these days that there's lots for them to talk about and break.
They've become relevant again.
Yeah,
which is great.
Mm-hmm. And before we jump into Theseus, the character, I just wanted to go back to something that you had asked earlier about other cast members and when we'd get to know more information, and if they would be characters that we're familiar with, maybe some that we're not. Mm-hmm. It made me think of what Game of Thrones has done traditionally at Comic-Con in San Diego, where they've released videos, and this may be similar for other shows as well, I don't know. And within those videos, there are obviously some clips of the upcoming season, but also the characters that are going to be appearing in that season.
I remember. So like a welcome to the cast, so and so.
I could see Fantastic Beasts doing that, especially if you're saying filming is supposed to get underway this summer. I could see something like that at Comic-Con where they reveal a little bit more on what's to come with Fantastic Beasts.
A couple people on Patreon are listening live. Lucas says, I think Nicholas Flamel might be in it. The real person was French.
That would be amazing.
Ryan echoes that idea. April suggested Delacour family.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe young Hagrid, suggests James.
Yeah.
I don't young Hagrid.
Well, that's definitely coming by the end of it. I think it'll probably be closer to the 40s when he's, school age.
It's funny. I don't think any of us expected this film series to turn into a who's who of younger characters from the Harry Potter series returning.
No, but Hagrid will be at school in 1942 or 5. 2 when Voldemort opens the chamber.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Theseus.
Mm-hmm.
So as Eric alluded to, he is mentioned very briefly in the Fantastic Beasts movie, because when Newt is in McCusa getting grilled about his beast getting out, the people there hear that he's a Scamander and that they're like, oh, war hero. But we actually know a lot more, and Pottermore stops there. Corporate-owned Harry Potter website stops at, well, in the movie script, we see that he is a war hero. But we actually learned a lot more thanks to that prop letter. It's a letter written by Theseus to Newt. It is, as of a few months ago, it was sitting at the Hollywood Warner Brothers studio tour in a little Fantastic Beasts exhibit. The Harry Potter fan site Snitch Seeker had visited the Fantastic Beasts exhibit when it opened, and they discovered this letter. And I'm going to read the letter, at least the parts that we could make out in the photo that Snitch Seeker took. It said, well, little brother, I don't know how much you have heard wherever you are about what's going on in jolly old Europe, but this chap Grindelwald has been making a lot of noise since you've been away. Charismatic blighter, but the ministry doesn't like him, and nor does the International Confederation. He has upset a few of the big wheels, and he's gone underground. I have been chosen to go away and ferret him out. Something the chance to be picked. Actually, because the whole blank want to be on this case, and it's taken some blank hard work to reach this status. Wishing you well wherever you are, blank whatever beastly quest you are undertaking. So this letter was supposed to appear in some fashion in the first Fantastic Beasts movie. And it's very interesting that it got cut.
Mm-hmm. And it still appears in the LEGO Dimensions game. According to, I believe it was Chad Hopkins, or my buddy Chad, reached out and was like, hey, did you know in the beginning of this game there's actually a voiceover of this letter being read while Newt is on the boat?
So we can fill in the blanks then.
Coming to New York.
I guess we can.
Oh, wait. Oh, well, yeah, I guess so.
So Chad, Chad
right in.
Can he, help us out here? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure this out.
Somebody who has the game, yeah.
Yeah. I actually, and yesterday while preparing for this, I went on YouTube and I tried to find it. I thought maybe somebody had already uploaded the video of the letter to YouTube, but couldn't find anything. Couldn't find the letter.
So I'm gonna go fill in the blank where it says the whole department want to be on this case.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think that's not too much of a stretch.
I think that's fair. That's a stretch. Let's ask J.K. Rowling. No,
Wheel of Fortune.
I think that this is very interesting, and knowing that he is referred to as a war hero, he essentially gets what seems to be a promotion. This is an announcement of a promotion between brothers, and essentially Theseus is a man put most directly in charge by the entire British wizarding government to track down Grindelwald. He is the one man who's going to stop him. He's been chosen to stop him. Very interesting.
So why was this cut from the movie? If it was included at the beginning of the LEGO Dimensions Fantastic Beasts video game, I would think that it was expected to be in the movie. Maybe it was expected to be at the beginning of the movie, because of course we have that shot of Grindelwald at the start of the movie,
and we have Newt on the boat. But when we see him, he's just sort of speaking into his case or whatever. Could the letter,
because at the beginning of the movie, well, I guess it is assumed that that's Grindelwald because you see it in the newspapers.
Yeah. I think that it might have been too much info at first, like at the beginning of the film with what they were trying to do with the newspaper montage. Also the fact that maybe, I mean, does it make sense to introduce a character that doesn't show up in the movie in any form?
Well, why not?
You know,
True.
I mean, Grindelwald does,
and you just see
at
a
the
photo.
end. Yeah, Lita, but that's like laying the groundwork for future in the same way that mentioning Theseus is. Like having a letter from someone to someone you'd expect an emotional payoff between the two of them later. Like it might have been just that like we don't even know who Newt is. The audience at large doesn't know who Newt is. We didn't know what Newt would be like once we saw him, you know, as a person.
Not necessarily, though. If you have this letter that's read at the beginning of the film, and then once the movie is about to end, you could have Newt writing a letter back to his brother chronicling what's happened. So I don't think you necessarily have to have Theseus be in the film. But this letter is interesting to me for a couple of reasons. You know, it's clear that when it's written that Newt has been out of the country for a period of time, and I think we're meant to think that he's coming over straight from the UK. But if he were to read this on the boat, you would have thought that he would have been a bunch of other places, just because it says what's going on in jolly old Europe. It makes it seem like Newt hasn't been in Europe for quite some time.
Well, the good thing about the Owl Network is you don't need to know where someone is. It'll just go to them, the letter. So that's kind of cool if you think about it.
Yeah, that would have been cool to see like an owl deliver a letter onto the boat too. It'd kind of remind you of Harry Potter.
Like at the beginning of Cursed Child, where the owls.
Yeah, another owl. Bad year for owls in the Wizarding World.
They just keep getting
cut left and right.
Oh man!
And then it goes on to say this chap Grindelwald has been making a lot of noise since you have been away. So how long has he been away? Where has he been? I mean, we know the Obscurus that he found in Egypt, right, is in his case.
Sudan. He found
Sudan,
Frank, the Thunderbird in Egypt. Yeah.
So it maybe that's why it never ended up in the film, because it doesn't really jive from a timeline standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, Newt's been basically traveling the world writing his book. There's a line of dialogue to that effect somewhere in the movie, and we know that like the premise of this movie was that he's, you know, he only meant to stay in New York for a few hours, but he's finishing up the manuscript which he ends up giving, I think, Tina or during the final battle sort of thing.
No, he gave it to Scholastic to be published.
Oh, Scholastic, that's right.
Obscurus
book.
Oh, right. Excuse me.
But the idea that his brother Theseus is, you know, if he were to write a letter back to him at the end of the film, it would be like, "Hello, brother. I'm sure you know this, but I found Grindelwald." like, oh, you probably know this by now. You probably feel a little bit silly, but yep, I found him and he's in cuffs and we have him in America. It's fine.
Well,
wishing you are well. Wishing you feel like your job isn't threatened now that I'm better.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, okay, so we have an update. This is the benefit of streaming live here. So Cullen and one other person, Salu, they found the letter on YouTube. They did better research than I did. So here you go. Are you ready? Full letter, complete with acting.
I'm going to complete it in our thing.
Wow, what a birthday gift to Eric. Here we go.
I don't know how much.
Hold on, wait. I got to turn off my Spotify. Some Sunday morning vibe.
It sounded like a really lovely song.
Let's just listen to that instead.
What is it?
The world is okay. All right, now here's the real letter.
Little brother, I don't know how much you've heard wherever you are about what's going on in jolly old Europe, but this chap Grindelwald has been making a lot of noise since you've been away. Charismatic blighter, but the ministry doesn't like him, nor does the International Confederation. He's upset a few of the bigwigs, and he's gone underground.
anything edible in there?
And that's the full letter. At least I think the prop letter has more than.
Oh yeah.
One.
Oh, okay. So that's the exact opening bit of the letter, but all the bits that are cut off later have not been recreated. So the I have been chosen to go away, ferret him out, blank T, the chance to be picked, actually, because the whole blank. I think it is department. I'm going to just put that in.
Now, Newt is sitting on a boat when he's reading this letter.
There you go.
And then the end part is him going through customs. So this does fit in perfectly with the movie. This seems to confirm to me that they did shoot it for the movie, especially since that prop letter existed, of course. So.
Well, if it was a voiceover, though, they would have had to have cast his brother already. I know the Lego Dimensions, somebody's doing that voiceover, but they're not beholden to like keep that. Versus if they cast it in the film, like they would need to keep that actor. So I wonder if it was
that dude sounds pretty old too. I'm just gonna say
that's an older brother. That's what an older brother sounds like.
Well, let me throw the first question out here and mess things up a little bit. Are we sure that this was even written by his brother?
What do you mean? An imposter?
Yeah.
You think Grindelwald wrote it himself?
I don't know. I think that Newt would be able to tell somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
but
J.K. Rowling can't do that bait and switch thing twice. Like that would be.
The interesting thing is that there was an interview with Colin Farrell. I know you mentioned this in your Hypable article, Andrew, but Colin Farrell revealed that Theseus is a British Auror, so they actually mentioned him in an interview, and that he corresponded with Graves. So if you think about this, Graves, who is, the head of his department, the head of the Auror, he's a big dude in American government for the Wizards, is in touch with the guy who's supposed to bring down Grindelwald for Europe, but Graves is Grindelwald. And so you could see very easily how Graves would feed information, like false information, to Theseus, which would therefore send Theseus off in different directions. Basically to, what's it called when you just, like, you can give him the runaround. You can basically mislead him.
Yeah.
And that's why, in fact, Graves is always one step ahead. So, like, how cool is that, according to Colin Farrell, that Graves or Grindelwald is, keeping one step ahead of the entire wizarding world that's trying to stop him just by getting such a cushy alias and installing himself so high up in government.
Not only that, but we know that Graves spent time over in Europe, and that's presumably where Grindelwald killed him, and took over his form. I don't know how to. It's not Polyjuice Potion, so it's not like he's keeping him in a suitcase somewhere like what happened to Moody in Goblet of Fire. But that opens up so many different possibilities, because if Graves was working with Theseus in Europe and they actually had interactions with each other, not just correspondence, there's a chance that for a period of time Grindelwald was actually interacting with Theseus and he wasn't any wiser of it. So there's so many possibilities in terms of what could potentially be going on there. And so I think there's a lot to talk about, a lot to theorize about, the potential relationship between the two of them, in terms of maybe he's not just playing him. Maybe, he could have killed him. He could maybe be trying to lure him in to work on his behalf. We don't know. Theseus is such a wild card, and all we have from him so far is this letter, right? And the fact we know that he's a war hero. Those are really the only bits of information that we have. So the presumption is that he's this good guy who's Newt's older brother and very well respected amongst the wizarding community, but that doesn't mean anything, right? We don't know. We don't know what makes him tick. We don't know what his beliefs are deep down inside. We saw that kind of manifest itself in Graves. So I think a lot to talk about here.
Well, the letter in which Theseus refers to Grindelwald as a charismatic blighter also speaks to the deeper story of Grindelwald. I think going back to why this letter would not have been in the movie or at the beginning of the movie, I wonder also if it would have tipped the scale to like reveal that the film was actually about the hunt for Grindelwald, right? Because you can actually view that opening sequence one of two ways. Like, I think the way that is more common if you haven't seen the movie is to assume that it's actually just setting the time, the time period. So like, yeah, in the 1920s, Grindelwald was going around and terrorizing Europe because it was a prelude to World War II. But, it's also 1920s America and flappers and, the roaring 20s, and just kind of like the movie doesn't have to be about that. But if you put a letter like this at the beginning of the movie, it almost tips the hand and like shows that it's actually going to be, and that Newt is directly connected to at least someone who's looking for Grindelwald.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Sorry, Andrew, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I also just think it places an unnecessary emphasis on Theseus by putting it at the very beginning of the movie.
Right.
It might be too much. It's like, whoa, we're just entering this new world and already we're hearing about this character Theseus who's after Grindelwald. I think it puts too much emphasis on him.
Yeah.
For a movie in which he doesn't even show up.
Well, right. And in the movie then, instead, it just gets sort of sprinkled in over time that, again, going back to the charismatic blighter thing, that Grindelwald he's feared by international wizards, and there's an aspect to him, just like Hitler. That's an easy allegory to make. Germany really elected him, and it was due to for whatever reason, feelings of nationalism, whatever. Hitler was able to use people's emotions and gain support. It wasn't easy, but he did it, and this is like Grindelwald now. So and Graves's statement at the end of the film before he transforms to Seraphina about hiding like rats in the gutter and who does this law protect, them or us. You can infer through his rhetoric that he is actually quite skilled at making these sorts of arguments, and so Theseus does not have an easy job.
Mm-mm. And to move forward here in our discussion, I think it also it's going to be a little interesting to see how Theseus reacts to the news that his little brother unintentionally beat him to finding Grindelwald. Like, how's he going to react to that?
It'd be, in my mind, very much similar to Ron doing something, and Percy was the one who was tasked to accomplish it.
No.
Yeah, I can see that.
I
can see
think
that.
No, hold on a second, because if we actually have the audio clip, and we may not have it ready here, but you actually, when we did the bonus MuggleCast, said that there was a Percy-like quality to Theseus's letter to his younger brother. So you can try and retract now, but
who are you talking? Who said that? Who said that?
Micah just listened to it before
I did.
We were
okay,
recording,
all right. Well, I didn't know if you're talking to me or Andrew. I think there's I'm not going to.
Eric said something similar in the MuggleCast. But yeah, if you want to deflect to Andrew, please go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking. Look, I think that they're more similar than they are apart. I don't want to start the rumor that like Theseus and Newt don't get along. I think that this letter. I now believe. Let's just say this. I now believe that the letter shows that Theseus and Newt get on. I think that they actually really like each other despite being very different people. Because Newt is not a fighter. That's the whole thing. He's extremely competent, but he would never put himself willingly on the front lines. He, is sort of more subdued and wants to work with animals instead of people, this, that, the other thing. But I think they get on. And I think that finding out that Grindelwald has been captured and that Newt had a hand in it, Theseus would be like, well done, baby brother. Kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it all depends the tone in which you read the letter, right? I mean, the way it starts off, some people may not like the little brother label, right? I can see that both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because Percy's letter to Ron, right? When he's like, you've fallen in with the bad sort. You can't. You have to spy on Harry and Hermione. That letter that he writes about that is probably like the same way. Dearest little brother, I think it begins.
Yeah. But he is talking a lot about himself and what he's been tasked to do. So I think there's definitely qualities about him that would suggest maybe he's a little egocentric. Being given this task to try and track down Grindelwald. He compares himself against the bigwigs and the department that he works for at the ministry, right? If that's the word that's missing there. So there's a little bit of like, hey, I've been tasked to do this. I'm
There's
after
also
Grindelwald.
he also says like. He also says, "I'm very pleased as it's been a lot of hard work." I think it indicates an openness, and I think that Theseus is, that their relationship is such.
Hard work. It depends how you read it.
But it does. It absolutely does. I see 100% what you're saying. To me, it reads more like it's not egocentric. It's just like I'm really happy about this. It was a lot of work, and this is going to be great. And this guy, he's really charismatic. Shucks, but we can stop him,
right.
kind of thing.
But it ends
Micah,
well.
it's Eric's birthday. Let him be right.
Okay. I'll say it does end very friendly, brotherly, positively.
Yeah.
So there again, it just depends. We don't know. That's the whole thing. Is we don't know the history between these two brothers. We don't know
absolutely not
what kind of relationship they've had leading up to this point.
I agree. Yeah, it could be anything. You could very well be right, and I could very well be right, but we just don't know.
So I think one of the big takeaways from this casting is just the simple fact that he is going to be in Fantastic Beasts 2. And I had a couple of ideas. To me, this seems to suggest that there's a pretty good chance Grindelwald will escape from prison in the sequel, which, it seems kind of fast for it to happen so quickly after him being captured. If Theseus is going to have some sort of significant role in this movie. Otherwise, he'd be showing up in this movie, and barring any big information we've yet to learn about him, he would just be like, oh, shucks, you caught Grindelwald before I did. Ha, ha, ha. And then wander off into the sunset. He needs a purpose in Fantastic Beasts 2. And I think he's going to continue to have to hunt Grindelwald, perhaps with Newt. I mean, he could turn into a significant character, and I've previously theorized that maybe Grindelwald can end up killing Theseus, and then that's going to give Newt motivation to fight Grindelwald with Dumbledore eventually.
That's dreadful, but entirely plausible. That Theseus, when we do meet him, and if we like him, he'll just be put in front of us, dangled in front of us, and then taken away, pulled away.
Because we also need to see Grindelwald causing true terror. And if he's killing somebody close to one of the lead characters, that would be significant.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and we it's. I'm not gonna. Well, I mean, I'm gonna ask this question, but it's like, would we rather Grindelwald kills Theseus, Scamander, or Jacob? Because I think both of them are not expendable, but it seems like we made this argument for why Harry, Ron, and Hermione would not all three of them survive Book 7, right? It's because they are the forefront of the war. They are the front line. And how often does it happen that when you're the person most in charge of hunting, this evil person, that you actually survive? Or that all of the people who are hunting them survive, that it's essentially, not without collateral damage. And I think that in this case, Theseus, who we do not know and we did not meet, it doesn't necessarily mean he's not as important as Newt, because we didn't meet him the first one. It just means timing or plotting or whatever didn't work out. But I think it's very plausible that somebody close to Newt, whether it be Jacob, who Newt befriended during the events of the first movie, or whether it be his brother, who he grew up with, knew him all his life, is taken away. It will catapult Newt into action, and it will. Yeah.
The key there, though, is time, because you brought up a great point when you said in Deathly Hallows, essentially, right? We didn't think all three of them were going to make it through. We're not at the point of being at Deathly Hallows within this series, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think you need to give a little bit of time to build up these characters. You've already had an entire movie with Jacob, who really was the heart of the film. You haven't had any time at all with Theseus. So, like Andrew said, it could be a very quick dangle him out in front of you and he's gone. But you would think to be more meaningful to Newt, there would need to be a little bit more development than just one film. I could be wrong.
We could have 2 nice movies with him without him dying. Like, then 4 more hours before he died. I mean, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he dies. I guess you could argue Harry kind of died, but he didn't really. He was a cheat.
And as far as Grindelwald escaping,
it was a cheap death.
Yeah, as far as Grindelwald escaping, though, at the very beginning of the film, Andrew, it would be very quick, and maybe we feel cheated a little bit, but they could do 6 months later, something like that, at the bottom of the screen, so that you don't feel like, oh, he just got arrested and on the way to whatever the equivalent is here in the United States of
during a
Azkaban.
transport, during a prison transport.
Right. So, and do you think though that, you talked a little bit about Newt and Theseus fighting alongside each other, but do you really feel like Newt's quest in all of this has really anything to do with Grindelwald? I mean, in the first movie, he catches him by chance. It's not really like he's out to get him. And maybe the line at the end of the movie suggests that now these two are going to be inevitably intertwined moving forward, regardless of whether or not they want to be. So, but to me, I don't think Newt's goal, definitely not in the first movie, and I don't know about moving forward. Like, if he hears Grindelwald has escaped, is it going to mean that it's his responsibility then, because he caught him the first time, to go out and try and catch him again?
And it was Newt's beasts that caught Graves. I mean, the swooping evil or whatever it was that was in his pocket that he uses like a yo-yo, the yo-yo bird, grabbed or shot something that caught Graves's hands behind his. He wasn't expecting it. Graves was at the end of the movie defending himself aptly and successfully against 50 R's all at once. They were all shooting spells, and he got them all. And it was Newt with his, out of the ordinary beast that nobody was expecting that actually got Graves. And I think that will be repeated.
He was standing behind him, in all fairness. I mean,
yeah,
that was kind of cheap.
But it also wasn't a spell. It was a beast. So my thing is, I think that it will be a recurring theme, to answer your question, Micah, that Newt, has the skills that Graves, or Grindelwald, we can call him now, lacks, and his knowledge of beasts and his use of beasts in battle, which I initially called issue with, because there are some issues there, which we'll talk about later, are, just so out of the ordinary, and Graves and Grindelwald is not expecting those things. And I think it'll always give Newt a slight advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one question that I have, though, is how does this all play into the other part of this story? So we talked a little bit earlier about Graves and Theseus. Does Dumbledore factor in here at all? Maybe they're a little bit closer in age than depending on how much older Theseus is, and I just think there's a lot of story that's going to continue to develop here, but
because
go ahead.
Newt and Dumbledore have some sort of special relationship, as he hints in the new forward of the Fantastic Beasts book, but we don't know what that is. That could possibly somehow connect to Theseus
and Graves more than a mentor. It's just so weird thinking, because if you do the backwards math and are like, well, Graves, aka Grindelwald, sat Newt Scamander down in a room to talk to him about what he was doing in New York under the pretense of grilling him for investigation, but Graves was corresponding with Newt's brother. So Graves knew all about Newt already. Grindelwald knows who Newt is, even though Newt did not know who Grindelwald was. Yeah. It's very interesting.
One thing to note is Theseus's name is deeply rooted in Greek mythology.
I love that you brought this up.
He is a war hero from those times, just as much as he is a war hero in Fantastic Beasts. And
does he die in Greek mythology?
Well, all tragic heroes usually do.
I mean, he could have been elevated to god status. That happened to at least one guy.
He's probably most famous for slaying the Minotaur, which is a beast
Man.
We'll see how that takes shape. But J.K. Rowling does not name characters without purpose, without reason. So
Remus Lupin.
There's more to come. Maybe we can dig a little bit deeper. Maybe some people listening have some thoughts on that. I know our listeners are much smarter than we are. So
I found the brief opportunity to talk about this real quick because we asked if Grindelwald will definitely escape setting plans in motion or setting the plot in motion in movie 2. If he does, I actually want to see how he does it. I'm still working on that question for J.K. Rowling, but I want more of a Magneto breakout scene from X2. Do you remember? Do you guys watch X-Men 2 at all?
I've seen a lot of them.
I haven't seen any.
It's essentially I'll be quick, but Magneto, who can control metal, is in a plastic prison. It's entirely plastic so that he can't use, because he could use anything as a weapon, any metal at all. He could shoot at high speed, telekinetically almost. And so he's in this huge plastic prison, but it's an entire sequence when Mystique actually comes and breaks him out, and it's this intricate, sort of step by step explanation, and it makes the reveal more satisfying, right? It makes the actual breakout and Magneto's thrill. It's such a character moment. What I don't want out of Fantastic Beasts 2, just to say it because we talked about it, is another montage like at the beginning of Beasts 1 where he's just running around. Like and the newspapers will go, Grindelwald escapes from America. I want it to actually be a scene, and I want it to be thought out well enough. Maybe we'll see Pickery. President Pickery will be the first 10 minutes.
Are you saying that she sets him free?
No, I mean, maybe she'll just be in that sequence. Like, what if
many possibilities.
I think that because they set the visual world for America, that if Grindelwald breaks out, they should show it, because we could see some of our favorite familiar characters. Maybe Tina is there when he breaks out. But they could do something interesting with America still, even if it's not the focus of the movie.
Who do you think?
And I don't want to just read about. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I think he could escape of his own accord, but I also want them to show how he does it. Like, that's the most compelling part of a prison break, is how you do it.
And remember, he's got people on his side, so it may not be a known character who helps him escape.
That's a really good point. He might already have wizards on the inside of American wizarding prisons.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful.
Do we know he's in an American prison?
You think maybe he's actually extradited back to the UK?
That's very possible.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. You know what? Pickery says there's a question of whether or not they can hold him. Johnny Depp is like, "You really think you can hold me?" And she's like, "We'll do our best." So either he's being held temporarily while the International Federation, who happens to be in town, by the way, all decide on what to do with him and where to store him, or he's in America because it's like their jurisdiction, and according to President Pickery, they're going to do their best to hold him. So I could see it either way, but I'll be disappointed if there's not more America and President Pickery. There's a lot going on Pottermore about President Pickery. She shows up in articles you wouldn't expect. So I think there's probably more to her story. So I think that Grindelwald will be in America.
We are going to get some thoughts from listeners. It was our Twitter question of the week regarding this topic. But first, we want to tell you about our advertisers for this week's episode. First of all, CanvasPeople.com. Canvas People lets you bring your photos to life by printing them on beautiful canvases in a variety of sizes. Like I said last week, I got a photo printed of my dog, Brooklyn. It's an 11 by 14 print. I really love it. It's so pretty. I'm moving soon. It's the last thing I have hanging on my wall still, because I don't want to
take it down. Is the Niffler hiding behind it? Is that why?
Yes. I'm letting him continue to hide behind there. What I love about Canvas People is you can take a photo from your time and to put this in Harry Potter terms, in the fandom, and get it printed on a canvas, instantly creating a new piece of Harry Potter memorabilia, bringing it to life. One of your favorite memories from the fandom. The canvases are made right here in the United States, and we have a special deal for listeners. Normally, 11 by 14 canvases are priced at $69.99, but for a limited time, you can get one for free. And, when I first read this deal, I did not believe it. I had to go test it myself because it's so good. All you have to do is pay shipping. So just go to canvaspeople.com and use code MUGGLE at checkout, and you'll get your 11 by 14 canvas for free. Remember, just pay shipping. And by the way, Mother's Day is coming up, so this could be a good gift idea. And we have a new sponsor this week, right, Eric?
Yes, it's Harry's. Harry's, which is fitting.
This is not Harry Potter's new business?
Harry Potter's new business. Yeah, he's grown up. He shaves, right? They're an affordable yet fantastic shaving company. So I actually have a Harry's razor, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the company right now. For decades, one big razor company has relentlessly increased prices and reaped immense profits at the expense of its customers. So Jeff and Andy, two ordinary guys who were fed up with getting ripped off, started Harry's to fix the shaving problem. Harry's knew there was only one way to ensure quality, so they bought their own blade factory. And by taking less profit and selling directly to you over the internet, Harry's offers their blades at half the price. So it's just $2 a blade compared to the $4 or more you'll pay at the drugstore. As I mentioned, I have a Harry's razor, and I actually bought it's a kit that they send you with some shaving cream, additional razor heads, and the razor. And I have to say, it's the closest shave I've ever achieved on my own. And both the shaving cream and the aftershave work really well. I've never owned another aftershave that I liked this much, so it's really, really good. So stop messing around with other aftershaves and get started shaving with Harry's today by claiming your free trial offer. It's a $13 value, which we're offering for free. Just cover shipping. So to get your free trial for Harry's, including a razor handle, 5-blade cartridge, and shave gel, go to harrys.com/MuggleCast right now. That's harrys.com/MuggleCast.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to checking them out, actually. I need a close shave. I need to look like a baby like Eric still does.
Yeah, I know I sometimes go around Chicago to get like straight razor shaves because they still do that someplace. It's like really old school thing to do.
Like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, well, it's also sort of terrifying, this shady place
where they don't murder you.
Yeah. But Harry's is a close. That's why I said like that I've achieved, because the blades are really, really good.
Mm-hmm. I actually got one of those close shaves at a barbershop recently. Mm-hmm. They were like, "Do you want to do like the traditional shave?" And they do it for the back of your neck. I had never had that before. I was so afraid I was going to get Sweeney Todd. I was afraid they were going to kill me.
Sweeney Todded.
Anyway, thank you to our sponsors. They are helping keeping this show going. So twitter.com/MuggleCast is where we host our Twitter question of the week. This week we asked, how do you think Theseus will get involved in Fantastic Beasts 2? Stephanie said, him and Newt will be forced to work together now that Newt called Grindelwald. I don't think they're the best of bros either, but we'll see. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what kind of tension they may have between each other. And like I said, like Theseus could get a little annoyed that Newt caught him before he did.
Yeah.
Katie said, if they use that actor, it better be a flashback because he's a baby. Older brother, my foot.
The Theseus scenes are only set in flashback so that Newt can be even younger than. I love it. I love it.
I bet Theseus shaves with Harry's. And finally, Patrick, who I actually mentioned earlier, he said, everything about Theseus screams, he's in a league with Grindelwald to me. Still working out my theory, though.
Pat.
So, we'll see. Maybe J.K. Rowling has some surprises for us.
That would be really compelling if Theseus were a villain in Fantastic Beasts.
Isn't that what I said earlier? And you're like, no, he's such a nice guy. He's writing these like really friendly letters to his brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know, but if you really think about it, like, what would it say to Newt if his own brother is caught up in all that hubbub and all that for the greater good type stuff?
That's the thing, though. We don't know. Like, we don't know deep down what makes Theseus tick, right? He could be, maybe he came into the ministry, thinking about things a certain way, but Grindelwald/Graves, once he came over, started dropping some knowledge, and all of a sudden things started to make a little bit more sense to Theseus. But what's interesting is, and I'd have to go back and look at all the history, but it didn't seem like the UK had the same kind of issues that New York was experiencing, right? At least that's the sense that I took from it. Right? There's far more secrecy and hiding going on in America than there is over in the UK.
Yeah, that's why Grindelwald could blend in so easily, is because in America in the 20s, it's this dark, dismal, dreary place where even wizards don't talk to each other. And so that's a sort of a perfect environment. I think what J.K. Rowling was trying to say is that that's a sort of perfect environment for Grindelwald, who's on the run, to hide in plain sight, but also in plain sight when most people are looking down at their feet.
Right. Mm-hmm. And could his breakout then lead to their exposure? Like, is that a massive tipping point, right? Because think of all the effort that goes in at the end of the Fantastic Beasts with Frank, the Thunderbird, to like clear everybody's mind. But if Grindelwald breaks out and does some crazy stuff before he makes his way back to Europe, that could really expose what's going on in America.
Yeah, and I guess that has to happen eventually, because by the 90s, America isn't seen as this backwards place that we hear about in Harry Potter.
Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of whose side is going to be on whose side, we also have to remember, and I was reminded of this through the Variety report about Callum's casting. When Warner Brothers announced the Fantastic Beasts sequel, they included this synopsis. The second Fantastic Beasts movie moves deeper into an increasingly dark time for the Wizarding World, where Newt and our other heroes have to decide on their allegiances. Allegiances.
Okay, so at some point it will be a real choice for each of them to make, whether they're, I think, on the good guy's side or the bad guy's side.
Right. And I think that Theseus could factor in here too.
Yeah, I mean, it's J.K. Rowling, so there will be a gray area. But I think Theseus, now I'm more and more thinking Theseus is vulnerable to be that to fill that role, because Jacob's not going to be like, oh yeah, I got to join Grindelwald. He'll make me a wizard or something. Like,
could you imagine?
He's the best. He promised me I'd be what, that's not how that works.
No. All right. Well, we want to continue our series here in which we're recounting our first Harry Potter memories. I have a couple more to read from Patreon this week. This is from Alex. My earliest Harry Potter memory is from first grade. One of my classmates had it, and I was so jealous that he was reading a chapter book. I went home and told my mom all about this cool new book series about some kids, I couldn't remember the name of it, and begged her to go to Borders and get it for me. The next day I came home to see a small sack of books on my kitchen table. I rushed over to open it and found the first 3 books in a series of unfortunate events. Since my mom tried to teach me how to be grateful, she made me read them all before she would go buy Harry Potter. While I can appreciate now that my mom was generous enough to buy me 2 different book series, I still cringe when I hear about a series of unfortunate events and haven't picked up any of those books since. Luckily, once I got to read HP, I was hooked. So Alex's mom made a little mistake there. But the series of unfortunate events books are actually very good, and they were very popular at the same time that Harry Potter was. So you should definitely continue reading them, Alex.
I agree.
And here's one from Haley. She says, I was 8 years old. My dad came home from work one day with Sorcerer's Stone. He had heard about it through a coworker and thought it would be a great book for us to read together, and it had only been about a month or 2 after the book was released in the United States. After dinner, we sat down and he read the first chapter to me. I was hooked. Even though I pleaded for him to read more, he told me we would read it just 1 chapter a day. About a week in, I was too impatient to find out what happened next, so while he was at work, I stole the book, and I think I finished it that same day. He was pretty bummed when he found out I read ahead, and looking back, I probably should have let him read the whole book to me. His decision to bring the book home that day was the first chapter to the best part of my childhood, and I'll always remember those first few days with Harry. Aww. So some nice stories as we approach the 20th anniversary of Philosopher's Stone later this year. We'll continue to celebrate the first Harry Potter book throughout this year.
I love these stories.
Me too. bringing back memories. Borders, parents reading to us.
I'm gonna fly home and just have my mom read me a book.
That's a little weird, but maybe if you film it, it'll at least be entertaining for us to watch.
Yeah.
Actually, we got an email this morning. We've been getting a lot of emails, and I'm sorry we haven't been reading them. We should probably try to catch up on them because between emails and voicemails, we have a lot of feedback coming in. Yep. But I wanted to read this email from Avula. She's in the UK, and she's 12 years old. We started this show when she was born.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
She's as old as this show.
It's the circle of life.
So in honor of her being as old as the show, I thought we should read this. She says, I always loved the question, what would you see in the Mirror of Erised? I've come up with an answer. I would see Micah reading me a bedtime story in his lovely, soporific voice, sometimes switching to the Hagrid impression. Please make this a reality. Love the show. You're awesome. I don't even know this word that this 12-year-old included.
She's smarter than all of us.
Is it spelled wrong?
No, I just looked it up. Sopor, tending to induce drowsiness or sleep.
Man, it's very soothing.
Oh, man.
I like how my voice ranges from putting people to sleep to sexy. So, I don't know.
Soporific.
Soporific.
You can be turned on and tired.
It sounds like
soporific.
Yeah. I was going to say it sounds like Eric.
Oh, really?
Soporific.
Synonyms: sleeping pill, sedative, tranquilizer, narcotic, opiate.
Wow.
Opiate. Hey, opiate fits. Micah, you're an opiate.
Wow. Well, that I really appreciate that, though. It's nice to
that was
get letters like that.
Nicest thing a 12-year-old has ever told you, right?
That's right. But people obviously love Hagrid, though. I mean, even Ron, Ron, who called in last week, was pretty impressed.
Yeah, you impressed a Southerner with your Southern Hagrid, so I'd say that's bucket list checked off.
And he's a New Yorker, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, what's in our Mirror of Erised? Eric, it's your birthday. What's in your Mirror of Erised?
Oh, so this is different than the question for Joe?
Yes.
Okay, what's in my Mirror of Erised? Being surrounded by friends.
Oh, that's beautiful. But you've already achieved that. I mean, come on. You have good friends, right?
Yeah. No, I have fantastic. Yeah, I have really nice friends. Oh, so it's something we don't already have. It's the heart's deepest desire.
Yeah.
The new, you know what? I really want the new Crash Bandicoot video game, which is 2 months away. I would see myself holding in one hand today's newspaper, Chicago Sun-Times, or Tribune, and on the other hand, I would have the video game, and I get to play it early. That's
Dumbledore would slap you if he heard that.
Dumbledore is equally guilty of lying and telling a falsehood about what he sees in the mirror. So the fact that I came up with this on the spot, he'll give me a pass.
All right, that's fair. I mean, in that same video game vein, I'm really excited for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch to be released this Friday.
Oh, you have the Switch?
Yes, I love it.
Do you play Breath of the Wild?
Yes, that's all I'm playing right now.
Yeah, I heard it's
amazing.
Wow, I hear good things.
Turn that into make a Harry Potter game like Breath of the Wild. I would die.
100%.
Open world Harry Potter.
That's actually okay. I'm changing my answer too. That's what I want. That's what I would see. That's what I would see in the Mirror of Erised is an open world. Yeah, or like VR is going big, like where you're a Hogwarts student, you go through all 7 years and magical new stuff happens having nothing to do with
Yeah, I don't like virtual reality, but anything open world.
But anything like that. Micah, what would you see?
It's a good question. I feel like the Friends one has already been taken, but a nice big cup of coffee. That's very vague.
Okay. Interesting.
How big? Like so big you could swim in it?
Venti.
Oh, venti. Small?
No.
Or is that large? Wait,
I don't use those terms.
Is Grande
I just say
smaller?
large, like
is Grande smaller than Venti? I thought Grande was large. Isn't Venti?
Who cares?
All right.
Venti is the largest coffee you can get. Yeah, at Starbucks.
Why is Grande not the biggest thing?
That's a great question.
I want to know.
Eric,
yeah.
it's time for the tweet.
Okay, that's not my question, J.K. Rowling. I don't want to know about coffee sizes from J.K. Rowling. I have it, you guys. I have it.
Go ahead.
In typical me fashion, because I'm also planning next week's show document. I want it to relate to Queenie, who we're talking about next week. But here's the question: are there other characters whom we already know about from the original 7 books, from Harry Potter, who possess Queenie's level of legilimency or telepathy, or how rare is her form of that gift?
Whoa. First of all, this is way over 60 characters.
Hey, you said you'd make it work.
I used the letter R for R. Are there other characters who we already know about from original HP who possess Queenie's, how about skills?
I typed it out. No, whatever it is, we can't dumb it down. I wanted to specifically talk about her telepathy.
You're gonna have to type this out and then take a screenshot of it.
I gotta do
Oh yeah.
Well, send me what you've got, and I'll open Twitter and I'll figure it out, and then I'll send it back to you so that you can post it.
So, before we wrap up the show today, we want to remind everybody about one other sponsor, right, Micah?
Puffs, the off-Broadway play here in New York City, follows the story of Wayne from New Mexico, who just happens to find his way to Hogwarts. And it chronicles the 7 years that he is there with some of his friends, which happens to coincide with the 7 years that Harry was at Hogwarts. But it's a very comical, lighthearted spin on what you would see through the eyes of a Hufflepuff student all their 7 years at Hogwarts. And it does a great job of weaving in so much of the story that we know and spend so much time on this podcast talking about. And it's just so well done. I guarantee you that when you see this play, there will be moments that you will really laugh, and you will be brought back to things you may not even thought you would remember about the books or about the movies. And it's clear that this group took a lot of time to put this together, to write this story, and it's something that I think all Potter fans will enjoy. So if you are in the New York City area, whether you live here or you're going to be visiting, definitely go and check it out. Puffs the Play. You will have a great time.
Yeah, it's puffstheplay.com, and you can use code MugglePuffs. Save 10%. Love that they gave us a deal.
I love that.
Can't wait to see it this summer.
Muggle Puffs.
And now it's on sale through July 30th, which is awesome. Lots of dates. I think the show is popular, given all these dates they keep adding. Did you figure out that tweet, Eric?
Working on it. 57 characters, and I haven't answered the question. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, geez. It's gonna be Eric's 29th birthday by the time he figures out this.
No, this was 29.
Oh, 30th. He's gonna be 30 by the time he figures this out.
But yeah, Dumbledore. Here's the reason behind the question. Dumbledore always gives Harry that searching look, but Harry doesn't feel his mind being read. And my whole theory about how legilimency works, because of Snape and Harry's scene, is that you have to relive whatever it is the other person's seeing, you are also seeing. That's what happens when Snape does it. So, however, for Queenie, you can't really tell until she says something to you that she was in your head at all. So it seems more realistic that Dumbledore would be that style of legilimens, because Harry sees the look Dumbledore is giving him, but he doesn't, he doesn't feel his mind being read. So I'm thinking of Dumbledore being a Queenie type legilimens. Also, Queenie, we'll talk about this next week. Never mind. But her being in front of Dumbledore, being able to read Dumbledore's mind, or being in front of Grindelwald, would be very interesting tactic. I'm looking very forward to. But yeah, I was thinking about her planning next week's discussion, and that's what I came up with. I'm writing the question right now.
Agree, disagree with anything we had to say today? Please email MuggleCast@gmail.com or call in, use our voicemail line, 1-920-3-MUGGLE. We also want to remind you about our Patreon. It is what keeps this show going. We really appreciate the support. It's been doing really well, and we're so grateful. It really means a lot that we have support from our listeners. We actually recently just passed 777 patrons.
Wow.
Not only is that an incredible number, but 777, 7 books, 7 years in Puffs to Play. Lucky number 7. By becoming a patron over on patreon.com/MuggleCast, you'll get benefits like an ad-free version of our show, early access to our show notes. You can listen to us record live every Sunday. We've been aiming for every Sunday afternoon, and it's going so well so far. And, of course, everybody's support is what made us weekly again, which is so awesome. And it's been going well, I would say.
Yeah.
Plus, there are a ton of other benefits. So, bonus MuggleCast, our second one for April. Eric, you recorded something at that conference that you went to that sounds like a Star Wars droid. C2E2?
C2E2. It does sound like a Star Wars droid. No, it stands for Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. So it's CCEE. C2E2.
R2D2.
Yeah. Well, what did you record?
Well, I can't say it on air, but it exists over on our Patreon. It's worth.
Wow.
It's worth.
It's Southern
checking out.
Hagrid.
Did our lawyers advise
It's
this?
45 minutes of Southern Hagrid. Yeah, it's a surprise. It has to do with, let's just say that the guests this week that are there are Jason Isaacs, who plays Lucius Malfoy in Harry Potter, and is cast in the new Star Trek. Still have to ask him about that. It's going to be amazing. And Ivana Lynch, who played Luna Lovegood. So, and I saw them in person. So
Eric recorded one of them, and you guys get to listen to it. That's one of the.
Yeah.
Eric's afraid like there's going to be some like it's totally fine.
It's
fine.
completely it's wonderful. And you'd like it. So
cool. Actually, and I just want to plug this really quick. When you are a patron, I always get mixed up between Patreon and patron. When you are a patron, you will get a special RSS feed that you can add to iTunes or any other podcasting client that you use, and you'll get all the audio content, including bonus MuggleCast, including ad-free MuggleCast, delivered to your podcast app, just like the regular feed. So this special RSS feed replaces your existing feed, and you'll get everything in one easy spot. It's an amazing feature that Patreon created. Really a game changer for podcasters on Patreon. Oh, wait. We didn't do the tweet. Did you?
I have it. I have it ready. Yeah. I'm
Send it to me.
I'm cropping it. I'm going to save it as drafts in the MuggleCast. Okay. Hey, J.K. Rowling. It's Spielerman's birthday. We are asking the following question on his behalf. : Are there characters we already know about from original HP, for instance, who possess Queenie's level of telepathy? How rare is her form of the gift?
Okay, so you're posting the question itself in a screenshot?
Yes.
Cool, smart. That's the thing to do these days.
Well, it was 113 extra characters if I didn't.
Right. Even the founder of Twitter has started using screenshots to put longer messages on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, he did that. He issued a statement one time with a screenshot. It's okay, dude, you know there's a problem with Twitter when you have to do that. All right, I see Eric has just tweeted it on twitter.com/MuggleCast.
It's retweet. I'm going to retweet.
Retweet, people. Let's go. I'm retweeting. This is an effort. We need everybody to chip in.
Southern Hagrid wants you.
All right, everybody. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Micah.
See everybody next time for episode 318. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. This was a great way to spend my birthday.
Aww.